Welcome back, everybody. I want to take a look today at this Mezco Slugfest figure. This is from the Rumble Society line. Comes in this nice little baggie to keep all the artwork and packaging clean. Let's take that off. And there we go. We can appreciate the box art a little bit more. I love the look already. This figure, the aesthetic of him, I like a lot, but kind of has this, I don't know, old pop culture feel. Kind of like when you look at Fallout stuff, right? Like the way they do all their kind of like old Americana look. All right, I'll pop the top on this and let's pull out the insert and see what we got. Looks like we got a little insert with some care guides and stuff like that. That was also in the last Mezco I opened. Mezco's still pretty new to me, so we'll see if there's much differences in the packaging here. So we have an initial kind of clear cover on the top. Like the other one, no tape or anything holding it down. I kind of think of that as like collector-friendly packaging so that you can kind of repack it very similar to how it was new. Some plastic film to protect the figure. We've got Slugfest himself here. My first look at him. This is super cool. I'm a big fan of cloth goods, as I've said in many of my other reviews for Mythic figures and Savage Crucible and, the Dinosaur Battlefield. I really love soft goods. That's kind of what drew me to some of the Mezco in the first place. And this guy looks totally awesome. Just first impressions here. But I'll put him aside and resist. Kind of look at some of the other stuff. For that right hand, which are different colors here, he has a closed fisted hand that comes on him. Looks like we kind of have a very open hand, a little bit less open kind of gripping hand, maybe reaching for something, and then like a gripping hand. A couple of right hands here. Looks like kind of an open gesturing hand, kind of that hand there. That is super cool. Very well done. I mean, the red ones are done. I mean, same kind of detail, attention there. This is super cool paint work. This is amazing finish quality. I mean, these figures are not cheap, so I'm happy that it, that they show up with the details. But man, they do show up with the details, don't they? Looks like we have one extra head here. It comes in some film there to protect it. And these heads, I think both of them have battery compartments underneath. Both of them light up, so I'm really excited to see that function in both of these. All right, I think we have a tray. Feels like a tray or two underneath. Yeah, so we got a tray underneath. Let's set Slugfest aside there. These trays have a protective cover as well. Pop that off. This is one of the other hands. This attaches on. I think it'll attach to either side, but it's kind of like a drill bit with like these grinder things. Drill bit more like a oil field drill bit, not like a drill bit like a drilling through wood or something, but got these kind of grinding wheels here, different color metallic finishes. They all rotate. That is super cool looking. We have a weapon here, looks like a little axe. Very well detailed in the sculpt. And then in the paint work, the finish work, there's so many different colors and finishes and stuff in there. It's pretty incredible what they're able to do with these. Little bottle of moonshine included. Even the cork comes off. Bottle's hollow to an extent, but that is cool. Little moonshine bottle with a removable cap. We have this anvil here with a chain attached to it. Some of the promotional photos I've seen, it looks like he can, put this around his wrist and be swinging this around like an anvil. Kind of cool to think about a character fighting with an anvil on a chain as a weapon. But the anvil itself, again, well sculpted, well detailed. Finish work in the paint is nice. And this chain here, it has just like these little lobster claw things like for jewelry. So if you did want to take the chain off, you could just pop the chain off and have this displayed. Last little bit here, they package in a bag to protect him. We got some film in his mouth. Got this little like robot dog thing. He's got like some spider legs that are on hinges here. Looks like we got 8 of these legs around. Little crawling guy. Underneath him, he's even painted. He's got this little head. Looks like an articulated head. Turns around. Mouth opens and closes. Like a little junkyard guard dog, I guess. It's pretty cool. He's got a leash on him. Leash with a little loop there so he can hold on to him. That is a cool take on this kind of trope of like a junkyard guy, a little junkyard dog. This is cool. Still got one more tray to go. All right, and this tray here, looks like this is going to have the base, which so far looks like Mezco always puts like a themed base, which is really cool. I'm not one for stands on my figures, but These kind of bases I don't mind because you have the option to use them or not, but they look really nice too, and they're themed to the figure. I think this is a cool touch. We also get this claw, articulated claw to grab onto the figure, and you can just poke out this foot peg and put in this to use on the stand. So you could use it with the foot peg, or you can use it with that. Pretty cool versatility. And then we have some batteries for the two heads. And then it looked like it popped out. It's stuck to the top here. But they give you a little parts bag that's logoed with the 112 thing. And a little area where you can write the figure, so you can throw all of his accessories into this little Ziploc. I guess for the people who are not going to keep the packaging and are going to throw all this stuff away, but such a nice way to keep accessories organized. The boxes and artwork is so cool. People put a lot of work into this. I think it helps me organize stuff. I can't throw this stuff away. Maybe I have a problem. And here we get a good look at Slugfest right out of the box, just as he's laid out. I really like some of the detailing here, including that screen printing on the back of him. Some really nice work in these soft goods. Mezco's pretty new to me. The only other figure I've had my hands on so far is the Alien figure, so this is my first with any of their soft goods, which is what drew me to the line, and I'm very, very impressed so far. I think he looks great. And here we have him with that alternate head sculpt. To me, it makes a big difference in kind of the overall personality, I guess you'd say. Kind of hard to describe that, but to me, this head here looks a little bit more aggressive, like a guy who'd be fighting. This one, to me, looks a little more kind. I don't know. Weird to get personality for like a robot head here. It just has a big light in the front, but I don't know. I kind of dig both of them, but I think I'll probably end up displaying with this one here. And while I got the head here and off, I'll try to show the light-up feature as best I can. There we go. That's with the light on. You can see that you see a little bit of translucency in the head as I turn it on and off here. You can see a little bit kind of through the head. But pretty easy to do. There's just one screw. You put in a couple of batteries. No big deal. And here we have one set of the hands changed out. His left hand there, that red one, seems to be the only one that'll really hold that axe weapon. But we get a look there of him holding that axe weapon. And here we have him with another set of hands and that LED on in his head. These are some like more open gesturing hands or possibly grasping hands, depending on the pose you have him in. And here we have him with that right hand replaced with that drill bit kind of grinding hand. I think that is a super cool hand slash accessory for him. Probably one I'll use when I'm displaying him. I think it looks really, really cool. And here we see him holding that like moonshine jug of his. In the left hand, you can see he's able to hold the cork with that specific left hand. And the right hand he has seems to be the only hand that you can get a good grip on that handle with. But I'm not sure if that's what the hands were intended for. But it looks really good and it looks natural and it looks to be a good fit. And they're pretty secure in there too. I can move them around and they're not falling out anywhere. All right, and here we have him with his little junkyard dog robot guy. That's a really cool little accessory. I mean, I guess he's an accessory. He's almost like just a separate small fig. But either way, it looks really cool. I think it's a neat design for the aesthetic of Slugfest here. Really good companion for him. All right, and lastly here, what might be actually my favorite accessory is this anvil on a chain. In my head, I think this works best as a weapon for him. You know, if I display him with this is definitely going to be some huge chunk of steel he's swinging around, using it offensively. Not so much as a workspace thing. But like I showed before, you can detach the chain from it. So if you do want to use the anvil as like a set piece, you absolutely can do that. To me, I just like it as a weapon. I think that's totally cool. All right, I want to take a little bit closer look at the figure overall, kind of go through some of the articulation, some of the different details. So when you pop the head, you do have this cool collar piece, so you don't need to have that on there. You get a little bit better articulation in the head. We can take a look at it with it off first. Get about down that far and about up that far. Get a cock in the head, kind of cock the head that way, and then you can spin all the way around. With this collar piece, let's get that under his collar there. With that collar piece, he can look up about that far, so pretty much straight ahead. He can still look down a pretty good amount. The cocking his head side to side, not so much, but you get a little bit out of it. And then turning, you can still get all of that you want. He does have a functional zipper here, so this little zipper here can go up, and you can have him all the way sealed up like this. Can also come all the way down. We get a little bit better look at his body. He kind of has this two-tone paint job going on with that body, and we can get in there to see a little bit of his legs. I like him a little bit more modest, so I'd probably leave it about there. I do like to see that kind of different color in the chest, though. I think it looks cool poking through. There is some detail in these hands I wanted to take a look at, or the kind of these gauntlets. Is there's actually like a little spring in there, and these pistons actually do kind of work in the sense that they kind of collapse into each other. But yeah, on both sides, I don't know that it does anything. Nothing that I can figure out, but it is a cool little detail. So there's like a little metal spring in there, and these cuffs do move. As far as his shoulders go, we can get his arms out about like so. The arms will go all the way around. You just start kind of pulling on the soft goods. So if you manipulate that, you can get those arms to go basically as high as you want all the way around. That's the arms all the way down to his sides. So he's kind of got little bit of the big lat syndrome here where he can't quite get his elbows to his sides, but he's a big muscular build of a guy, so that kind of makes sense. Does have single jointed elbows. These were the tightest joints on the figure for me. They needed quite a bit of heat and manipulation to kind of loosen up and get to where I can bend them comfortably. But we get about, not quite 90, maybe 45 degrees at that. So not a ton of articulation in that elbow. These gauntlets do spin, so they can spin all the way around. The wrists are on one of these split kind of ball joints. So as long as you get that oriented the way you want, you can get it to flex that way. Turn his hand up so that you can get like that up and down kind of cupping of the wrist. So not a ton of mobility, but a good amount there for sure. Back to unzipping him so you can see this a little bit. There's no diaphragm cut or anything like that in him. There's no articulation in his torso, but there is a cut here that feels like it's just I guess that isn't a ball peg. Moves a little bit better with the this open, but it is a ball peg, so we do get a little bit of a crunch forward, a little bit of a lean back. It's kind of hard to see because of the clothing, but you can see that it moves. We don't really get much side-to-side tilt, a little bit there, but he does rotate on there. So as long as you're not rotating past where the fabric will go, you do get that rotation there at the waist. And to my surprise, we get pretty close to a full splits there with this figure. We get a pretty decent kick forward, not quite 90 degrees up there. Let's see what we got for a kick back. A little bit of a kick back there. We do have a single jointed knee that gives us probably just shy of 90 degrees. A little hard to see with the clothing on there, but a little bit shy of 90. Pretty decent. Coming down to these feet, there's really very little rock forward and back. There's a little bit side to side, but you can spin them. Like I've mentioned, Mezco is pretty new to me, and it seems to be a common thing. I could be wrong, but it seems to be a common thing that there's kind of very limited mobility in their ankles, and this guy certainly would line up with that. Like I said, they spin, just the rocking, not so much. Nobody took a look at this earlier, but I wanted to look at it a little bit more closely. So each one of these legs is hinged, so each one of these legs has full mobility back and forth, but that's the only point of articulation. They don't go out or up or anything like that. They just go forward and back. This head is articulated. He can look up. He can look up about that far. He can look down a little bit, so not a ton, but there is a little bit of up down there. He can't really cock the head too much, a little bit there, but he can rotate it. His jaw starts hitting on these legs, so he can't go too far. So if you're looking at it from the front, he can go about there and there. And then this jaw does open to about there. So pretty good jaw opening. You could probably have him biting just about any fig or accessory or whatever you need him to. To start off some size comparisons here, a couple of Cosmic Legion figures. On the left, kind of one of their standard size Tusk Sentry figures that I've made into my kind of a Boba tribute there. And on the right, one of the slightly larger figures in the Sphexian Minor. And the other couple Mezcos I had on hand, a couple of Krieg figures, also from the Rumble Society line. I think they scale really well with him. He's definitely a big guy for the line, it seems like so far, unless these guys are just real small guys for the line. Who knows? Here we have a McFarlane kind of standard size Batman and one of the NECA Pee-wees on the left. Finally, an SH Figuarts Piccolo on the right and a Diamond Select Juggernaut on the left. Kind of thought of him just because he's also like a big hulking brute of a figure and probably my favorite figure so far in that kind of category in my collection. I don't know. It's an old one, but it's a hard figure to top for me. Alright, so some final thoughts here on Slugfest. Like I mentioned, this is my first Mezco figure that's of this line, of the Rumble Society line, which is the line that originally drew me to the brand. And of the figures that are commonly available right now, Slugfest was kind of top on my priority list to get. So this last weekend when I saw him in person at a local show, I just had to grab him up. To address the cons first, just to get those out of the way, I would have to say first and foremost would be the articulation. The articulation at the elbows specifically and the ankles. The elbows weren't even getting to 90. Now, he is kind of a big sculpt. He has large biceps, large gauntlets on. So I understand it. It's not like it doesn't make sense. He is a big, bulky character. I just wish I would have had a little bit more out of the elbows. And then out of the ankles, it seems to me that that's kind of standard-ish for Mezco from what I've seen online, but this is my only figure like this, so I won't really speak to that. But for this figure, certainly the ankles have pretty limited mobility, but he is very stable when he's standing, so if that's the trade-off, then I might be willing to make it. That's really all I have to say about cons for him. And for the pros, the first things I would say is the aesthetic. Everything from the art on the box through down to the figure and every one of the accessories I thought was really well executed and very much on theme. So the art style for the box, the character design, the sculpt, the weathering, the paint job, and even the accessories that were included, I thought all fit a very specific theme of like who this character is. Not to get too deep on like lore or character building, but he just seems like a really cohesive thought, like a really well designed figure through and through. Like I touched on, the sculpt work and the paint work I think complemented each other really well to show a lot of weathering and wear and tear like he had existed in a real place. And I think that the paint job, sculpt on everything, the accessories included, are just phenomenally done. The soft goods too, I was really impressed. I really do like soft goods. Part of what drew me into the line was seeing the soft goods on them. And these soft goods don't appear to be brand new like you see so often on other figures that offer soft goods. You know, it's so common to see it where the fabric just looks like it's a brand new thing, like the character's never worn it a day in their life or something. But these coveralls are very well worn. They're stained, they're dirty, they're ripped and torn on the sleeves. They look very realistic. I would buy that this was a character, you know, living and working in these coveralls. And I mentioned the accessories too. I think value-wise, it is just, you get a lot for what you pay, I think. I know these aren't the cheapest figures around by any stretch of the imagination, but the accessories that are included are not just well done, but like there's a lot of them, and they're meaningful. They're really cool, either set pieces, accessories, something else that helps tell Slugfest's story, and that just complement them well on the shelf. So all in all, for my first Rumble Society figure, I think I picked a great one. I'm really impressed with him. I have a couple other Rumble Society figures to review that are either here already or coming in shortly. I'm really excited to dig into those and talk about them and show them off a little bit. That's really all I got to say on Slugfest. If he's your style, I'd pick him up for sure before they really dry up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.